Hello, welcome to My Nerdy Adventure. My name is Chris Feltz, here to bring you the Wonder Woman review. Now, Wonder Woman is actually in my top 5 of my favorite comic book characters. I really enjoyed her stories, and I really got into her with the New 52, and I was excited for this film. It was one of my most anticipated of the year, and how was it? Pretty damn good. And it's good that we finally have a DC film that everyone can love. Right now it has a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, and that is awesome. It seems that everyone is loving it, and it's about damn time, because DC has had a lot of flack and has not been able to really get their universe up and running because people have not been liking their films. First of all, I love Man of Steel. Man of Steel, in my opinion, is going to be one of those films that we look back on and be like, wow, why did we not appreciate that? But I can understand why people might not like it. Personally, I love it, and I think it's a wonderful start to the DCEU. But from there, movies released by DC have not been well received, including myself. BVS was let's say, mess. It wasn't exactly a good film and not what we were hoping. But there was two things that came out of that film that we were all hoping for and wanting to see more of, and that was Ben Affleck's Batman and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. Now, let's get to that second one. How was Gal Gadot in this film? She was okay. I think she was okay. I'm not really I've never been really familiar with Gal Gadot other than the Fast and Furious films, and I haven't seen any of her films previous to Wonder Woman that were released. But from what I can tell from this film, she has a long way to go in terms of acting. There were several moments in this film that she did pull off sadness and grief, and she did it really convincingly, and I felt some tears coming in my eyes. But there was also a lot of times where I can see that she's not the caliber actress that can carry her own film. And there were several times in this film where I sort of cringed at her acting, and I just couldn't help to believe that if somebody else was in this role, that it could have elevated this film a lot more. But like I said, those moments in which she has to express grief and sadness came across very well, and it made me feel for her and Wonder Woman and the character. So I can't knock her for that, but I do believe that she's getting better and she feels more comfortable in the Wonder Woman role. And I'm very hopeful to see what she does in Justice League. She didn't ruin the film for me. She didn't seem like she was out of place. There were just a few times where I did cringe at her acting. Now, Chris Pine's Steve Trevor, now how was he? He was the best part in terms of acting, because there was a lot of times where I laughed, where I cried, where I felt his emotion for Wonder Woman, and he was just the crossbearer for this film, because I think without his performance, this film would not have been the same, because there's a lot of comedy, but there's also a lot of emotion that Steve Trevor expresses in this film that I really enjoyed, and Chris Pine did very well. And I was sort of worried that he would have that James T. Kirk vibe to him, and while there is a little bit of that vibe to him in this film, he's very much a different character than James T. Kirk, and I enjoyed seeing him and Wonder Woman play off each other, especially the chemistry between the two actors. I thought was wonderful, because when Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor are actually able to have those quiet moments, those intimate moments, they feel very real, and you actually care about these two, and you want to see them together. And when they finally do express their emotions to each other, it's very heartfelt. Another part of this film that I really enjoyed was Themyscira. I thought that Patty Jenkins was able to capture this sort of otherworldly castle island place, and that its inhabitants are mythical, and she was able to capture that while maintaining reality. She didn't make it a fantasy, she really kept it grounded in reality, and it really shined through that. And Patty Jenkins, speaking of Patty Jenkins, I think she has done very well with this film, but there was a couple times where there was a narration going over a scene, cutting to things, and having expository dialogue play over action scenes, and there was a lot of times where that happened that it started to get annoying to me, that she wasn't able to present it in a different way. She kept relying on the narration and the expository dialogue in order to build the world around to build the world. Another thing that I thought was great was the action until the end, and I'll get to that. But the action leading up to the third act was well done, and I love the scene where they're in the trenches, and it was such a powerful moment. The score and the dialogue in which Wonder Woman tells Steve Trevor that if she's the one who has to help, and if nobody else is going to, she has to do it. And that entire sequences within the trench and the no man's land was excellently done, and it was very powerful. But like I said, the action wasn't always well done. I thought that the thing that Zack Snyder set up in BVS and Man of Steel bled over to Wonder Woman, and that's heavy CGI action to the point where it just became just mind-numbing how much action was CGI. There were several points where Gal Gadot was completely replaced by a CGI construct, and it just was so noticeable. And I thought there was a lot of different ways that they could have done that, could have done the action in a more realistic way rather than having to lean on the CGI. So I thought the CGI very much took me out of the film, and for that, the action went down for me. Everything else was great when she was attacking everybody else in the town and doing one-on-one fights. That's where the action was really well done. But the CGI, again, was just a little too much, and it sort of bled over from Zack Snyder, and I don't really like Zack Snyder's take on action unless it's live action, not CGI, like the ending of Man of Steel and the ending of BVS, and even in the ending of Suicide Squad. So I think they need to get away from that style that Zack Snyder has set in terms of everything dark, everything CGI, and just have a bunch of people go at it, because it just takes you out of the film. Another thing that I really enjoyed about this film was the themes. I love the theme of war and what man is truly capable of, although the theme does get a little downplayed when Ares, the god of war, the main villain, sort of comes into the film, and it gets that theme gets buried. And I understand what they're trying to go for, and I thought it was really interesting, and I wish that they explored that more. And if you know the ending of the film and you know what happens with Wonder Woman and her actions at the end, or about the part where right before the fight with Ares, if you know what that, if you've seen it, you know what it means. And I thought that if they explore that more, that would have been a lot more interesting than where they actually went with it. So the theme of war, what it really does to man, and how truly good can one be, or is one ultimately corrupt by evil and by the evil deeds that they do, and whether or not you can come back from that. But overall, I know it sounded like I was being a little nitpicky, but I really enjoyed this film. I just think that there was a lot of flaws that could have been circumvented with just a little more polish to it and just a little more thought into how they were going to do the action. But these flaws aren't bad. They're not detrimental to the film to the point where I'm not going to enjoy it like I did with BVS. The flaws in BVS are very glaring, and the flaws with Wonder Woman are just normal flaws within action movies and the superhero genre overall. But the character of Wonder Woman, the character of Steve Trevor, and their chemistry together was fantastic, and it made me believe. And Gal Gadot, I hope that she plays Wonder Woman several more times into the future, because I think she has a lock on who this character is. But the acting needs to get a little better for her to really exemplify what Wonder Woman truly is. So what did you guys think? Did you like Wonder Woman? What did you think about the flaws that I believe that are there? And did you think that some of the action was a little too CGI-ish? Did you like the characterization of Wonder Woman and the other classic comic book characters? Anyway, if you want to see more from me, like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know exactly what you want to see from me, and I'll be able to try and do it as much as I can. Thank you for joining me on my nerdy adventure. Have a good day.